All right, so inequalities, less than symbol, greater than symbol. Got to be able to distinguish which one you're dealing with and tell me the right one. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. If it has the equal to mark, you're going to have a filled in dot, and you're going to use square brackets on the interval notation. If it doesn't have the equal to mark, you're going to use an open circle or open dot on the graph, and then parentheses with the interval notation. What that means is you're not including the number that's on the other side of that inequality symbol out of that. So we're going to start with just something where we're not worried about solving it. We're just going to graph and write in interval notation. So the first example is just going to be x is greater than or equal to 8. So let's graph that on a number line. So you don't have to be a really long number line, just long enough. And when you draw a number line, you'll put that number somewhere close to the middle and then put a couple of numbers on each side. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a very long number line, but we do need to show a couple of numbers on each side of that. And since it is greater than or equal to, what kind of dot do we put above 8? Filled in. All right, so above the 8, we're going to put a filled in dot. And what numbers are greater than 8? 9 and 10, so I'm going to go that direction out of that. All right, so it says all the answers, x, are bigger than 8, bigger than or equal to 8. So that's why I'm going to go to the right, because those numbers are bigger than or equal to 8. One of the shortcuts some people try to use, and it works fine as long as the variable's on the left side. If the variable's on the right side, it does not work this way. But if the variable is on the left side, look at the direction that's pointing. It's pointing, go that way, right? So like the arrowhead is the inequality symbol. If the variable is on the left, you can kind of use that shortcut. But I like to just be able to read that with numbers. Now, the interval notation for that. What's the lowest number that is an answer to that? 8. So that's the number I'm going to start with. And it goes to the right. What is way out there? Infinity. All the numbers beyond that. And we can never get to the end of that. So that's where this positive infinity comes in. So it's positive infinity. And on the 8, because it had the equal to mark and we used a filled in dot, we're going to use a bracket. But on infinity, can you ever get to infinity? Despite what Buzz Lightyear says, there is no beyond infinity. You never even get there, okay? So it's just a parenthesis there because you can never get there. You can never put a bracket on infinity because once you think you're there, you just add 1 and you're not there anymore, okay? So infinity always has parentheses. So when the arrow is going that direction, we're going to go toward positive infinity. If the arrow is going this direction, we're going toward what? Not 0. All the negatives, and keep going more negative, would be negative infinity. So there's a positive infinity going that direction. There's a negative infinity way out there. Okay, so depending on what's going on. Let's look at an example that does that. Maybe like x is less than -1. Real simple. Nothing too strenuous yet. So I'm going to put the -1 in the middle, -2, -3 to the left, 0, and 1 to the right. So what goes above the -1? Empty circle, open circle there. And it's less than that, so that's going toward -2, -3, or toward 0 and 1. Less than -1, if I owe you $1 and then I owe you more money, I have less money. The more I owe you, the less I have. That's going to go to the left. Okay? So when you read this and you want to write it in interval notation, this arrow is going way out this direction. So what's the lowest number that's an answer to this? Negative infinity is that. So we're going to put negative infinity. And then the highest number is that is an answer is right before you get to -1. But we're going to write -1 and a parenthesis beside it saying we're not using -1, we're using the number right up to the edge of the -1. So that's what that notation says. So you get the graph and the interval notation. On your practice today, you're going to do both of those things out of that. So we're trying to get toward learning interval notation. So let's mix it together with some solving. 5x plus 1 is greater than 7x minus 17. All right. So what's the rules? Get x by itself, just like an equation. Nothing's different, right? It's all the same. So I'm going to move things to where x is by itself. If I move the 7x by subtraction, gives me -2x plus 1 is greater than -17. Subtract 1, -2x is greater than, not equal to, but -18. And then we're going to divide by -2. What does dividing by a negative do? Makes that +9, but what else does it do in an inequality?